Time to discover the secret of the Mertzes. The I Love Lucy writers determined, like they did with My Favorite Husband, that the Ricardos needed an older couple to play off of. Mr. Atterbury was George Cooper's boss. The renowned character actors Gail Gordon and B. Benaderet portrayed Rudolph and Iris Atterbury, an older, more financially stable couple in Husband. Ball had hoped for both actors to reprise their roles on television, but they were both unavailable at the time of the production because Benaderet was already playing Blanche Morton on The Burns and Allen Show, and Gordon was under contract with CBS to play Mr. Conklin on both the radio and television versions of Our Miss Brooks. Here's your first scoop. It was difficult to cast the Mertzes, as they were now known. The surname was derived from a doctor that Lucy playwright Madeline Pugh knew as a child in Indianapolis. Ball had hoped to cast James Gleason, who she had worked with in Columbia Pictures' Miss Grant Takes Richmond in 1949 as Fred Mertz. Gleason, on the other hand, demanded approximately $3,500 each episode to portray the part, which was just too pricey to sustain. William Frawley, a seasoned vaudevillian and movie character actor with approximately 100 film credits, was a long shot to portray Fred Mertz and was only considered when he directly contacted Ball to inquire about a job on her new program. Ball, who had seen Frawley briefly during her time at RKO, recommended him to both Arnaz and CBS. The network was opposed to Frawley's casting, fearing that his habitual drinking, which was well known in Hollywood, would prevent him from committing to a live program. Despite this, Arnaz admired Frawley and campaigned hard for him to get the part. Even had Lucy writers rewrite Fred Mertz's character to be less financially wealthy and more curmudgeonly, in contrast with Gordon's Dr. Atterbury character to match Frawley's style. Only when Arnaz legally bonded Frawley to total sobriety during the show's production and reportedly threatened the veteran actor that if he showed on set in a drunken state more than once, he would be fired, would CBS yield. Frawley's drinking never interfered with his performance during the Lucy's 9 seasons, and Arnaz became one of Frawley's few close friends over time. It took a long time to find an actress who was fit for the role of Ethel Mertz. Because Lucy's husband, co-star B. Benaderet, was unavailable, the part was offered to Mary Wicks, a long-standing acquaintance, who rejected because she did not want to jeopardize her connection with Ball. Barbara Pepper, a personal friend of Ball's, was also a contender for the part. Pepper was one of Goldwyn girls who arrived in Hollywood with Lucy in 1933, and the two had a lengthy relationship together. Ball and Arnaz ruled Pepper out because she, like Frawley, had a drinking problem, allegedly. Vivian Vance was considered because Lucy director Mark Daniels recommended her. Daniels had previously worked with Vance on Broadway in New York in the early 1940s. Vance had already established herself as a successful theater performer, having been in a variety of plays on Broadway for over 20 years and having 2 film appearances after migrating to Hollywood in the late 1940s. Despite this, she was still a relatively obscure actress in Hollywood by 1951. Vance was in La Jolla, California for a revival of the play The Voice of the Turtle. Arnaz and Jess Oppenheimer saw her in the performance and immediately recruited her. Vance was hesitant to give up her film and theatrical career in exchange for a job. Ball, on the other hand, had reservations about employing Vance, who was younger and significantly more beautiful than Ethel's image as an older, rather unattractive lady. Vance was just 2 years older than Ball. Ball was also a firm believer in the Hollywood cliche of the time that there should be only one attractive woman on set, and Ball, as the show's star, was an attractive woman. Vance's work, on the other hand, impressed Arnez, who hired her. Vance was then dressed in less appealing attire in order to reduce her attractiveness. Ball and Vance's relationship was tepid at best in the early episodes of the series. Ball warmed up to Vance after understanding she was not a danger and was extremely professional. Vance was the first woman to receive an Emmy Award for Outstanding Supporting Actress in 1954. Ball and Vance built a deep bond that lasted a lifetime. Following the conclusion of I Love Lucy, Ball asked Vance to co-star in her new series, The Lucy Show. The off-screen romance between Vance and Farley was less successful. Despite this, they were always professional and had a great connection while playing on the show. Vance's look was mocked by Farley, who called him a sack of doorknobs. Vance, who was 22 years younger than Farley, was said to be irritated by the fact that her character, Ethel, was married to a guy who was old enough to be her father. Vance also remarked that Farley's singing and dancing abilities had deteriorated. Throughout the length of the program, Farley and Vance had a tense relationship. Arnez proposed making a spin-off from I Love Lucy called The Mertzes in order to please Vance, whom he admired. Farley was ecstatic at the prospect of a rich job and the chance to appear in his own program. Vance, on the other hand, rejected for a variety of reasons. The most important of which being that she believed she and Farley could hardly work together on the ensemble program they were doing at the time, and that they would have a much harder time working together on their own series. Vance also believed that without the Ricardos to play off of, the Mertz characters would be less popular, and that despite having her biggest hit, she was more interested in playing glamorous parts rather than Ethel. Vance was allowed a lot more leeway to appear more appealing as Ethel Mertz during the 13-episode run of the Lucy Desi hour-long presentations, something she was denied throughout the duration of the I Love Lucy episodes. After she rejected to join the spin-off program, Farley's anger of Vance grew, and the two seldom spoke to each other outside of their characters' conversation. I hope you found out the secret of the Mertz, and we hope that you enjoyed tuning in.